Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about golfer's elbow, which is also known as medial epicondylitis. If we remember in tennis elbow, we talked about lateral epicondylitis. Now we're talking about something that's going to occur on the inside of the elbow. So let's get started. Like it says here, it's similar to tennis elbow, but it occurs on the inside of the elbow. So let's take a look at the elbow joint real fast. And if we take a look at the elbow joint, this is basically looking at your arm bone, which is called the humerus. This is my radius over here, this is on the side of the thumb. This is the ulna, which is on the side of the pinky. And what you're looking at here is if you were to look at the front of your elbow joint, you're looking at this area right in here. So this right here is called the the medial epicondyle. This bump is called the medial epicondyle. If you want to know what it feels like, if you touch the inside of your elbow, you'll feel a bump there, and this is what we're talking about. Once again, like we had in tennis elbow, you are going to have muscles that come up and attach to this. And as you do certain motions, those are going to rub against the medial epicondyle and cause micro tears, and over time, that will start to cause pain. Okay, so golfer's elbow mainly occurs in any activity in which there's flexion and pronation of the wrist, such as golf. So if you want to know what flexion of the wrist is, put your palms face up in front of you, and actually just go ahead and make a fist. So your palms are face up in front of you, make a fist, and now bring your fingers towards your face. So you're doing, you can actually feel it in your forearms, and that's going to be flexion of the wrist. Pronation, we talked about before. In pronation, what happens is if your palms are face up and now you turn them face down, that's going to be pronation. So when you get an activity in which you're doing flexion of the wrist and pronation, what's going to happen is you are going to start to put a strain on the muscles that go up to the inside of the elbow. And as it says here, you can see this can occur in racket sports, because you can also get this from tennis. And it's also known as Little League elbow. And I'm going to correct this real fast because Little League is actually, if I remember correctly, an organization. So I'm going to call this Little League elbow. The muscles that do flexion and pronation are called the flexor pronator muscles. And we're going to take a look at those right now. And so these are the flexor pronator muscles. And so, like we said, these are in the forearm. And what you're looking at here is the left forearm. So what they will do is like I said already, they're going to flex the wrist and then they're going to pronate the wrist. And that's going to put strain up in the elbow. And so once again, we're going to look at the inside. This is on the medial epicondyle, so it's going to be pain on the inside of the wrist. This again gives you an idea of the muscles going up to the elbow. When you do motions in golf, what you do is you hit, and it's like with tennis, you roll over the wrist over, but this time you're putting more strain on the inside of the elbow. Okay, so our treatment for tennis elbow is, for golfer's elbow is the same as tennis elbow. Basically, you're going to do ice or rice, rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And also you could wear a brace. Cross-friction massage will help this also. And then there's some exercise that people can do also. And that's basically it for golfer's elbow.